I've struggled for months and months trying to figure out how to talk about, how to explain something I've been dealing with for now a year, give or take a few days. Getting answers, that was a journey. Being patient, healing was a journey. Still on a journey trying to manage things. And this by no means is the end of it all, but it's a new starting point. And I want to share my story because I don't know if there's anybody else out there that's dealing with this too. Maybe know somebody on a different level that's dealing with something similar. But we won't know if we don't talk about it. So I'm done hiding in the shadows. I'm done not sharing it because it needs to be brought to light. So here goes me starting to share about my experience. So like I mentioned, about a year ago, I woke up one day and I had 2 dots. And I thought it was just mosquito bites. And so a couple of days later, they started to dry up, scab over like a normal mosquito bite. So I didn't think anything of it. So it went away, no big deal. But about a week or 2 later, I started to notice the 2 dots, and then they had some friends. So then I thought, well, did the original mosquito bite maybe get infected? Is this some sort of rash from the mosquito? Do I have West Nile? Do I have Ebola? Like, who knows with all the things that are going around that was happening. I didn't know what was happening. So I'm like, this is crazy. Well, then more time was going on. Every week or 2, every time it would go away, it would come right back. And it would go away, it would come right back. And it would come back worse and come back more. And it started to spread. So it first started here, and then it got up to here, and then my eyes would get really swollen. My face would get really swollen. I have this joke now when I'm talking to Hector, and I'm like, I feel like the marshmallow guy, the marshmallow man from Ghostbusters, like all big. Even though it doesn't look that way, it feels that way. And so this went on for months. And every time it would happen, I was trying to figure out what was causing it. Was it a particular food? Was it a particular place we were eating? Was there something particular going on? And none of the things at that point I was able to connect. At first, I thought it was some sort of random gluten intolerance that I had developed. And so for a while, I thought it was I couldn't have bread. But that was out because then I'd have something else and then it wasn't that. And then I have something else and then I couldn't make any sense of it. And it got to the point where Hector started to get really concerned because it was miserable. Like it wasn't just the rash. So it wasn't just the rash, but the rash was actually making me sick. I started to run like fevers. I started to have a lot of respiratory things. I started to physically feel ill, like I was having the flu, so much so that it was really disrupting my daily routine, my life. I had to stop doing Pilates, and I love that just because I was feeling so bad a lot of the time. So fast forward, we're in maybe October-ish, and I start going to the doctor and having the doctor evaluate me. And she gives me a cortisone cream, and so that barely touches anything. It kind of helps the itch a little bit, but it still wasn't answers for me. I wanted to know what it was. And so something that I've learned through the course of time, that with hives, with rashes, sadly, a lot of physicians, a lot of doctors, that these things go undetected as far as finding out what is causing it. And so that blew my mind, and I refused to give up or give in. So we started doing a lot of tests. We did blood tests. We did so extensively. They checked my thyroid because, of course, it's in this area. They did the blood allergy test. And guess what? So the test results come back, and the doctor is laughing, and she says, Hector will be very jealous of you because your numbers are spot on. Everything looks good. Your thyroid's good. No detection of any type of allergies whatsoever, even the things that I had been quote unquote thinking I was allergic to. Nothing came up as far as your body producing whatever to show that you're allergic, like histamines, right? So, can you imagine how frustrated I was? Back to the drawing board. All of that money, we're uninsured, and we paid all that stuff out of pocket. That was a pretty penny to find out that there was nothing. Of course, we were relieved to know that there was nothing serious that showed in those tests, right? Of course, I was concerned of elevated levels. Is it cancer? You just never know these days. But there was no answers that were given or got. So now what? I just keep trying to live life, and then so fast forward to December. End of November, December, I get sick 4 times every week. Something different. I get a cold, I got the flu, I got upper respiratory, I got something else. And amazingly, within that 4-week period, I did not rash out. I did not hive out. Can you believe that? So I started to connect the dots, and I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe this is done. Maybe this is over. It's run its course. Hector was convinced maybe all the fevers and things like killed whatever was going on. I don't know. But then, much to my surprise, boom, it came back again. So then I started to really tackle things. I started to do more of a detox now that I had gotten well from those illnesses that I had. And I started to notice then in that moment that it started kind of clearing up a lot faster. So instead of it being rashed out for a whole week, then maybe it started coming down to 4 days. And then it happened again. About three weeks, maybe 3.5 weeks, I went rash free, hive free. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm onto something. And then it just kept coming back, and it kept coming back. And so I got to the point where I was getting really desperate. Like, what else is there? I'm doing detoxes. I'm trying to be mindful of some of the things that I've eaten, at least I thought I was eating, was triggering it. So it wasn't until still more months later, then I started to explore an option that I had in the back of my mind that I wish I would have done sooner. Have you ever heard of a modality called biomagnetic therapy? Amazing thing with that is it uses magnets to help balance things in the body. And so I have a really, really good friend, Joan, her sister Sue, another friend of ours, Claudia. All these ones do this. And so I had that in the back of my mind that I know I wanted to go get trained in this modality. But I never thought that I should utilize that to see what's going on with me. Reason being, with this modality, they utilize heavily muscle testing. And so it was just about a couple months ago, end of May, that I finally sought out somebody here locally that had an opening, an acquaintance of my mother-in-law that she met, and started seeing her for treatment. So the amazing thing that I was able to discover with the help of this new tool, this new lifeline, so thankful for her. Because then I was able to finally figure out what was triggering the hot. There was 3 things that were triggering it that combined, right? We always know sometimes it's just a perfect storm of things that causes havoc in unexplained ways. And so there was 3 things that were causing it. And so maybe I'll get into that another time because it's definitely something to look into. But with the muscle testing, she was able to determine something called an aggressor, something that was making things worse. And you'll never guess what animal it was. So you ready to hear what animal was messing me up? Something that I've eaten my whole entire life, all 39 years, no problem. But now all of a sudden, was a big problem. Chicken. Organic chicken, regular chicken, fried chicken, grilled chicken, chicken salad, chicken pot pie, chicken tortilla soup, chicken flautas, all of that really good yumminess that I love. Chicken. I could not have chicken. And before you start to say, what? Nah, it couldn't be. I put that thing to the test, and sure enough, when I stay away from the chicken, you guys, no hives, no rash. Stupid, right? But check this, right when I think I'm in the clear, Hold your horses, tap on the brake, wasn't in the clear yet. So we often think of cross-contamination of like raw foods, right? Or cooking on the same surfaces. So found out the hard way that even in this instance with this type of aggressor, allergy, whatever you want to call it, if I eat something that came in contact with chicken, whether it was on the same plate, in the same vicinity of it, pre-cooked even, we're not talking about like E. coli and things like that. We're just talking about chicken molecules of some sort. Didn't get cooked through or cooked away, because apparently I can still have a reaction. Case being, when I had a steak. Steak's good. Steak was treating me well. But then when I went back to that store and I saw where and how they stored their meat, and there was no wall in between the fresh area, it was chicken way over here, beef way over here. So yeah, there was like a big gap, but still affected me. I still had an outbreak. Wasn't the worst, but it was an interesting lesson. So that wasn't the only instance of that happening. Actually, yesterday this happened to me. I went to a restaurant that I've been to before, ordered a bean and cheese taco, and I like their hot sauce. So I opened the bean and cheese taco to put the hot sauce in. Guess what was in my bean and cheese taco? A piece of chicken, a chunk of chicken. So I debated on whether or not just to pick it out and go about my business. But then I thought better of it, and I said, no, this place needs to realize that allergies exist, bro, and you want people to come to your establishment, you gotta be more careful. So I politely brought it up to the girl, took it to the back. She was unsure what to say, kind of saw her mention something to the manager. They threw the taco aside and they hurriedly and made my bean and cheese again. And so I hoped that because this bean and cheese didn't have chicken, because of course I opened it again to see, I don't know what other practices they were running in that kitchen, but you guys, I started to break out. So right now it's not the worst. I mean, it was pretty bad last night. I definitely got marshmallow man face. So much so that I felt like my brain was swelling. Like my whole brain just felt like it was up against the skull. Like it was pretty bad, y'all. So needless to say, a year later, the journey is still going. There's answers now, at least, and there's things that I can avoid. I'm borderline thinking of going vegan, vegetarian, somewhere in the middle. I don't know, just avoiding any place that has chicken to begin with, because even then, if it's fries and it's being fried with chicken, yep, I will get a reaction. It has happened also. So this is my story. This is my journey. These are the things that are going on. This is what I've been dealing with for the past year. I wanted to share that with you and be transparent. Some things that have been working amazing during the interim of when I do hive out. Terrazyme has been integral to help. Zendocrine has been another one that's been integral in helping me to deal. But of course, there's some other things that are helping me deal also, because remember I mentioned there's 3 other things that are kind of in the mix of things. So I'll talk about that more in the coming days, weeks, months, whatever feels relevant at the time. Definitely feel that one of them should be hit. Definitely, because it is a year-round thing. But anyway, more on that later. Drop in the comments, let me know what you think about this story.